Part 51. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 501. Chapter 501. Are you angry? Chiao Mian, how many flowers did you send? 1314, I heard that this number has a good meaning. But if you give so much, our small apartment won't be able to accommodate it. Chiao Mian was of course very happy to receive the flowers. But if Mo Yesi gives it like this, the house will probably become a sea of flowers. As soon as she finished speaking, Mo Yesi frowned. Chiao Mian thought he was unhappy, and immediately explained hurriedly, "It's not that I don't like it, but can you stop giving so many? We really won't be able to put them there, and it's hard to throw away so many flowers if they wither. Pity. Those flowers are expensive, right? If you really want to give me something, I would rather you give me something practical." After saying this, Chiao Mian felt that she had no romantic qualities. But she really hoped that Mo Yesi could give her something practical. It would be better to use the money to take her to eat delicious food. "Are you angry?" She looked at his face and asked softly. Shouldn't she have said that? No matter what, he cares about her, so he would please her and pursue her in this way. No. Mo Yesi lowered his eyes and glanced at the girl in his arms. His eyes softened and he said, "How could I be angry with you? Since you don't like me giving so much at once, I will pay attention to it in the future." "But you just," it looked like he was angry. Mo Yesi was silent for a moment and smiled, "I just thought of some other things." "Honey, let's get back to the business, okay? How have you considered the proposal I just made?" Chiao Mian is not that pretentious. He has said it to such an extent that she can't refuse. She looked at him, nodded and said, "Yes, I promise you." Mo Yesi's eyes flashed with a pleasant smile, and he lowered his head and kissed her on the lips. Asterisk. Soon, Mo Yesi started to work. Although he is the big boss, he does not belong to the idle side. Not long after he took over the Mo family, many large and small affairs of the company had to go through his hands. Once he got busy, he was completely focused on dealing with work matters, and had almost no communication with Chiao Mian. Chiao Mian was also afraid that she would disturb him, so she didn't talk to him. She took out her phone, turned off the sound effects, and clicked on the downloaded game to play. The two of them are sitting at the desk and the other is sitting on the sofa. They are doing their own things without disturbing each other. Occasionally they will raise their heads and make eye contact, and then continue to do their own things. Although we have not spoken much to each other, this kind of silent companionship is still different from when we are alone. Chiao Mian quite likes this way of getting along with each other. Time flies. Unknowingly, it was noon. Mo Yesi's work finally came to an end. After he finished processing a document, he dropped the pen in his hand and stretched out his hand to rub the center of his brow. Then he looked up at the girl sitting on the sofa. The petite little person occupies a corner of the sofa, holding a mobile phone and playing something attentively. His slender white and green onion-like fingers are clicking quickly on the screen of the mobile phone. The long shawl hair fell down, covering half of her cheeks. Her face was originally very small, no bigger than his hand. Half of it was covered, which made her look even smaller. It also made her dark eyes look bigger and rounder. The eyes seemed to be inlaid with glass beads. His eyes were lowered, and the long and thick eyelashes almost covered the eyelids. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 502. Chapter 502. Is this person you are talking about a man? She wore a white t-shirt today, paired with a pair of light blue denim hot pants and a pair of white shoes. The outfit was in line with her age and she looked particularly youthful. Just looks like he is 17 or 18 years old. Looking younger than your actual age. It actually gave him the illusion that he was in love with a minor. Yes, he didn't know what type of woman he liked before. Now, he knows. He likes girls like Xiao Mian who seem to be well behaved, obedient, and pure. It feels sweet just looking at it. Tastes sweeter. It is the kind of sweet that is addictive. A sweet taste that you can never give up once you taste it. Yes, he himself didn't realize how gentle his eyes were when they fell on Xiao Mian. If anyone comes in now and sees this scene, they will definitely be surprised. They were surprised that Mr. Mo, who took the cold and aloof approach, actually had such a tender side. Yes, he didn't say anything, and stared at the sofa like a madman for a while, then slowly stood up and walked towards her with very light steps. Xiao Mian is very involved in playing games. She didn't feel it until Yes, he came to her side. Yes, he didn't say anything, just stood beside the sofa and looked down at her silently. Xiao Mian finished playing a game and put down her phone to stretch, only to find the man standing next to her. "Are you done?" She looked at the time displayed on her phone. It was already 11:30. Yes, he sat down next to her, stretched out his long arms, and hugged her as a habit. He likes to hold Xiao Mian very much. The body of the girl in his arms was delicate, soft, and fragrant. Holding her, he felt what it meant to have a real warm and fragrant nephrite in his arms. It turns out that hugging someone can sometimes become addictive. "Were you playing games just now?" The man's voice was low and sultry. When he spoke close to her, his warm breath fell on her cheek. Xiao Mian nodded. "Yeah." "What game?" "That king pesticide you told me about before." "That's right." Xiao Mian thought of the game just now and said a little excitedly, "This season has just been updated. Now there are many masters playing ranked. I just met Li Bai from the national server. We all died in the last wave of team battles. He was the only one left. Not only did he steal the dragon when the opponent was fighting, he also killed the opponent with 5 kills. Then he took the soldiers and the dragon alone to push down the crystal on the opposite side. That wave of operations is so cool. This is the first time I met such a handsome Li Bai. I originally wanted to add him as a friend, but who knew that he actually set it up to not allow adding friends. I feel like he is a very cold and individual brother. His game ID name is also very nice, it's called Chang and Prosperous Dream." Hearing the girl in his arms keep talking about the character named Li Bai in the game, Yes, he became jealous again. He seemed to have heard her call her little brother just now. She has never called him that. The arm around the girl's waist tightened, and the man's deep black eyes narrowed. "Is this person you are talking about a man?" "It must be a man. Women rarely operate so well. And girls rarely play assassins." Xiao Mian didn't realize that someone was jealous, so she explained clearly. Yes, he narrowed his eyes again and picked up her phone without saying a word. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 503. Chapter 503, If others can do it, so can your husband. He clicked on his phone and found the game she downloaded. After logging in, he selected the hero named Li Bai from Assassin. Xiao Mian asked doubtfully, "What are you going to do? Can you play Li Bai?" She remembered that Yes, he had never played this game. The game he had asked her to download before was on his mobile phone. Yes, no. Xiao Mian. He checked Li Bai's general attributes and skills, then exited and clicked on the ranking directly. When she saw the matching page, Xiao Mian's eyes widened. "Do you want to play now? If you don't know how, you can play with the human machine first to practice. Ranking is all about waiting for the hero to become proficient before playing, otherwise if you cheat others, they will scold you. And in the game, People don't care who you are. Anyone who cheats will be scolded. What's more, no one will know who the person opposite you is playing ranked against. The man held the phone very calmly, looked down at her, and put his big hand on the top of her head and rubbed it. Be good, others can do it, and your husband can do it too. Baby, if I can do it one by one, you can call her soon. I'm a little brother, huh? He imagined Xiao Mianmian's soft and sweet voice calling him little brother. His body suddenly tightened and his breathing became faster. Xiao Mianmian. No wonder he suddenly wants to play games. So it turns out, do you mind if she calls other boys little brother? He would even be jealous of a passerby, and he was a passerby who only played a game with her once. Xiao Mianmian said with a smile, it's not that I don't believe you, but the hero Li Bai has very high operational requirements. It's not as simple as other assassins. It's really unrealistic to think about one show and five for the first time. Otherwise, you can change the operation a simpler hero. After other teammates selected the heroes to be banned, Mo Yesi was ranked first, and he immediately locked Li Bai. Xiao Mianmian. Once locked, it cannot be changed. Unless teammates are willing to trade heroes with him. She felt that her teammates would definitely be cheated in this game. A person who has never played Li Bai and plays Li Bai in ranked will definitely be cheated by teammates who don't even know him. She silently said sorry to several teammates in her heart. Furthermore, she was also mentally prepared to be reported. Baby, after Mo Yesi locked the hero, he raised her chin and looked into her eyes seriously. If I win this game and show off again, please call me brother Yesi. Looking at his confident look, it was hard for Xiao Mianmian to hit him any further. She actually wanted to say that just because a person can manage a company well, it does not mean that he is also very good at playing games. These two different things. Perhaps he is good at management, very powerful, but when it comes to playing games, he is not as good as a newbie like her. But he insisted on playing, and she couldn't stop him from playing. She thought that if her teammates were good in this round, they might be able to win. But it is absolutely unrealistic to show 1 and 5. So, without much thought, he nodded readily and agreed, okay, I promise you. Anyway, it's impossible for him to do it. Mo Yesi's dark eyes lit up and he raised his Li. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 504. What to do in Chapter 504. They said they wanted to report it. Looking at his record, Xiao Mianmian felt very embarrassed. It felt like he was really cheating. This is what is called when one looks at the operation and looks like a tiger, but then looks at the record and it is 0 points and 5 points. In the game King Pesticide, whether the jungle hero is good or not is almost related to the outcome of a game. Because the jungler is the one who drives the rhythm of the whole game. If the jungler doesn't play well, it can be said that more than half of the game is lost. It is conceivable how a jungler Li Bai with a record of 0-3-0 made his teammates despair. With this achievement, it is impossible to even develop the economy, let alone drive any rhythm. So, in just a few minutes, most of their defense towers were demolished. The opponent grasps the rhythm and demolishes the defense tower in the middle until there is only one left. After demolishing another one, they can attack the crystal. Looking at Mo Yesi with a record of 0-3-0, his teammates finally couldn't help but speak out. Fried Xiao Luban, Li Bai, you don't know how to play jungle to grab the jungle position. It's really unlucky. I encountered a teammate like you in the promotion round, so X-May must have done it on purpose. Daji baby, if you want to practice heroes but don't know how to play matching and what ranking to play, isn't this harmful? The strongest assistant in the national server, this Li Bai is really a rip-off, report him together after the fight. Xiao Mianmian. She looked at Mo Yesi with resentful eyes, what should I do? They said they would report it. With Mo Yesi's record, if there are 0 kills at the end of the fight, if he is reported, more than 10 points will be deducted. If she doesn't have enough reputation points, she won't be able to play ranked games for the next 2 days. The man stared intently at the screen of his mobile phone. Being criticized by his teammates did not affect him at all. He continued to operate the hero in his hand with a calm expression. What happens if the report is successful? He was playing games and replying to Xiao Mian. Xiao Mian curled her lips. My reputation points will be deducted, and I won't be able to play ranked games for the time being. Then what can we do to prevent them from reporting unsuccessfully? Xiao Mian curled her lips again and said with almost no hope, unless you can get a few heads, you won't be able to get any heads. The system will think that you gave away heads on purpose. Mo Yesi was silent for a moment. I did do it on purpose. Xiao Mian. He actually did it on purpose? Didn't he want to win? You will only lose if you deliberately give away someone's head like this. I sent a few heads just now because I wanted to get familiar with how this hero operates. Now I'm almost familiar with it. Don't worry, I won't let the other party get one of my heads again. Since taking heads can prevent them from reporting successfully, I'll go get a few. Hearing him speak so lightly, Xiao Mian felt that this man was just bragging. To maintain his face. He has given away so many heads, and his economy is not very high. How can he still get the opponent's heads? Xiao Mian has no hope for him. I just hope that he will give away fewer kills in the next time and stop cheating his teammates. Perhaps, there is still hope of winning. But a few more minutes passed. Xiao Mian, who had been watching Mo Yesi play games the whole time, suddenly opened his eyes wide with a look of disbelief. At the same time, a series of prompts came from the phone: first blood, double kill, triple kill, quadra kill, penta. After another voice showed that the opponent's team was wiped out, Xiao Mian saw that her teammates who had just scolded Mo Yesikai started to praise her. 666,666. Man, this operation is really awesome. The show of Tihua, is the boss starting with this? Playing games with your feet? End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 505. Chapter 505. Brother Yesi. Even the people on the opposite side typed 66,666, and they all said that this Li Bai had something. The boss who was praised was calm and composed, and without changing his expression, he led a few artillerymen to explode the opponent's crystal. The moment the game page showed victory, Xiao Mian was still confused. Mo Yesi finished the game, clicked on the results, and handed the phone back to Xiao Mian. I won, I got 5 kills, and I did everything I promised you. Now, isn't it time for you to fulfill your promise? Xiao Mian took the phone blankly. Looking down at the record displayed above, Li Bai saw, 5-3-5, 5 kills. You, how did you do that? She looked at it for a while, then slowly raised her head, still feeling incredible. Obviously a few minutes ago, he was a rookie with a very disappointing record. A few minutes later, you got the pentakill. Could it be that all his cooking at the beginning was just an act? Mo Yesi felt very satisfied with her reaction. She finally discovered that he had a very powerful side. He said lightly, once you are familiar with the skills, you can do it. It's a very simple thing. Xiao Mian. Is this really your first time playing this game? She expressed serious doubts. How can someone be so good at playing it for the first time? Unless you are a gaming genius. Yeah, Mo Yesi said calmly, it's my first time playing. What's wrong? Xiao Mian stared at him for a long time before gradually believing it. She felt that Mo Yesi had no need to lie to her. He is usually busy with work and has various social activities after get off work, so he probably doesn't have much time to play games. His time is precious and will not be wasted on games. So, if you meet someone who is very talented at something, even if you try harder the next day, you will still be crushed. She has been playing this game for more than 2 years. But not as good as a newcomer who is playing for the first time. That leaves her to reason. My heart is so tired. Baby, let's get back to the business. Yesy retracted his long arms, hugged the soft and sweet girl in his arms, held her chin with one hand and raised it slightly, looking at her with his deep and charming eyes. Call yeah brother si ask me to listen, I'll wait. Chiao Mianmian's face turned red. She agreed so readily at first because she felt that he would definitely not be able to do it. She never thought that he could really do it. She felt that calling her brother was so shameful and disgusting. How could Mo Yessi have such a bad taste? Likes others to call him brother. Baby, Mo Yessi's voice was low and seductive, and the corners of his lips slowly raised. You don't want to regret it, do you? No. Chiao Mian endured the shame in her heart, stretched out her hand to touch her hot cheek, pursed her lips, took a deep breath, closed her eyes as if risking her life, and shouted, yeah, yes elder brother. Her voice is soft and sweet. Because of shyness, I shouted brother Yessi very quietly and very shyly. After shouting, the blush on his face turned a few shades redder, and it felt like his whole face was burning. The sound is even more delicate and soft, like a little kitten meowing. She herself didn't realize how charming her voice was. Mo Yessi's whole body suddenly tensed up, and his eyes suddenly turned dark and hot. The fingers holding her chin tightened, and when he spoke again, he said in a hoarse voice, baby, scream again. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 506. Chapter 506 I'll give you everything, okay. Chiao Mian refused. She was so embarrassed that she had just screamed. She blushed and refused, no, I've already screamed once. Mo Yessi lied, your voice was too soft just now, I didn't hear you. Her voice was very small. However, he heard clearly. That soft voice, as delicate as a kitten, is very attractive. Mo Yessi lied, your voice was too soft just now, I didn't hear you. He imagined that if she called him brother Yessi so softly at that time, he would probably go crazy. Completely out of control. Baby, be good, scream again. The man's hot and thin lips were close to her ear, his voice was extremely low and hoarse, and also very tempting, call again, and I will help you play the game and let you win all the time, okay? Whatever hero you like, I will use that hero. Whichever rank you want me to reach, I will reach that rank. Just call me brother Yessi again, and I will listen to you and give you everything. Okay. The man's deep and hoarse voice is extremely sultry and alluring. Like a siren who can seduce people with her singing. Chiao Mianmian's heart was trembling because of the seductive voice. This man Mo Yessi. In order to achieve his own goal, he really does whatever it takes. Is he deliberately trying to seduce her? If so, then he succeeded. Because she simply couldn't refuse. My head was dizzy, my heart was beating hard, and my whole body was surrounded by his domineering and refreshing breath. Everything related to him was in my breath, eyes, brain, and ears. His person, his breath, his voice. Like a finely woven net, surrounding her airtight. Baby, huh, a certain man who won't stop until he achieves his goal blew hot air into her ear again, and his voice became deeper and more sultry. Chiao Mian was teased until her ears felt hot. She knew that today she would not call him brother Yessi again and he would not give up. So she blushed and bit the corners of her lips, holding back her shyness and called out again, "Brother Yesi." After she shouted, she covered her hot little face and glared at him. Because she was shy, her voice was still soft, "I'm satisfied now." For a long while, the man above his head did not make a sound. Chiao Mian could only feel that the man's breath seemed to be getting hotter and scorching. There was also an extremely intense gaze falling on her. She raised her head curiously, and when she looked into the man's deep and burning dark eyes, she was frightened by the fire in his eyes. His dark eyes illuminated by the firelight reflected her slightly panicked look. "Mo Yesi, you." Seeing that the man's eyes were getting more and more intense, and the arms around her waist were getting tighter and tighter, she hurriedly reached out and pushed him, trying to withdraw from his arms. But the next second, the world was spinning, and she was thrown onto the sofa. "Baby," the hoarse voice fell next to her ear with hot breath. The man said every word in a firm voice, "I want you." As soon as he finished speaking, he kissed her. His absolutely powerful and domineering kiss sealed her soft lips, giving her no chance to refuse at all. Asterisk. An hour later, it was finally over. It took a while for her to recover from the extreme feeling. Update completed today. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 507. Chapter 507. Chapter 507 Finally avenged shame. Mo Yesi turned over and lay aside, reached out to hold her in his arms, lowered his head and kissed her sweaty forehead, and said in a hoarse voice, "Baby, are you okay? Are you satisfied with my performance this time?" He felt it just now too. Chiao Mian calmed down, remembering the madness just now. Her face felt hot, and she buried her head in his arms, too embarrassed to look at him. Ah, so shameful. She was obviously resisting at first, but then she gradually became more aggressive. She didn't want to admit at all that she was the one who grabbed Mo Yesi's arm and refused to let go, and actively cooperated with him. Looking at a little woman who buried her head deeply in his chest, hiding her entire face, wishing she could dig another hole to hide it, Mo Yesi gave a low laugh and placed his big hand on top of her head to rub it. "Liaro, if you don't say anything, does that mean that I'm satisfying you?" Chiao Mian. His face turned redder. This man Mo Yesi is so annoying. Why did he have to let her say it? I wonder if she is a girl who is thin-skinned. Besides, if she is satisfied or dissatisfied, can't he still feel it? Must ask her. Chiao Mian's face flushed, and when she met the man's deep and scary eyes, she was so frightened that she immediately pulled his arm and said in a soft and coquettish voice, "Mo Yesi, I'm tired. I'm so sleepy. I want to sleep for a while." Little did she know that her soft voice not only failed to make the man give up his thoughts, but actually made Mo Yesi want to bully her even more. His Adam's apple rolled, he stared at her bright red lips for a few seconds, then lowered his head and kissed her. "Okay." Asterisk. Her clothes were torn and wrinkled, and her skirt was torn open and could no longer be worn. Mo Yesi knew that he went too far today. Her body is delicate. She must be exhausted. He touched her soft cheek lovingly, covered her with a thin blanket, bent down and kissed her gently, and said softly, "Baby, you rest in there for a while, and I'll ask Wei Zheng to give it to you again. Buy a suit of clothes." Chiao Mian was bullied so badly by him that her eyes were swollen from crying. Moreover, the more she cried, the harder he bullied her. Originally, she was trying to stay angry with him and ignore him, but when she heard him saying that he wanted Wei Zheng to go shopping for clothes, she blushed and hurriedly said to stop him, "Don't." End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 508. Chapter 508, You know the bad guy who bullied her. Mo Yesi raised his eyebrows slightly. "Huh? Honey, I'm afraid you can't wear your clothes anymore. Sorry, I was too strong just now and my clothes have been torn. Chiao Mian said coquettishly, if you ask Assistant Wei to buy clothes for me, then he will know what we have done in there. This is so shameful. Mo Yesi was stunned for a moment, then raised his thin lips and said amusedly, are you worried about this? Chiao Mian blushed and nodded. Doing this kind of thing with Mo Yesi in his office was enough to make her feel ashamed. If others find out, let her face his employees in the future. The smile on Mo Yesi's lips deepened. He bent down, reached out and pinched her soft chin, and said in a regretful tone, sorry, honey, I might disappoint you. You, what do you mean? Mo Yesi sighed, I'm afraid, Wei Zheng and the others have heard it. Chiao Mian. Her eyes widened in disbelief, isn't your office soundproofed very well? How could other people hear it? Baby. Mo Yesi curled his lips evilly and said something that made Chiao Mian blush instantly, I guess they have heard it more or less. Chiao Mian was so embarrassed that she died of embarrassment. How will she face Wei Zheng in the future? And his secretaries? She was ashamed, angry, and lost her temper at him, it's all your fault. Mo Yesi, I hate you. Looking at the girl who vented her anger on him, Mo Yesi not only wasn't angry at all, but his eyes were full of tenderness and doting. He leaned down and hugged her, and smiled softly, baby, what's the matter? What did you just do? I love the performance. Don't be shy. Even if Wei Zheng and the others heard it, they wouldn't dare to say anything. Let alone mention it in front of you. Besides, there's nothing to be shy about. We are a couple. Isn't it normal to live as a couple? If other people know what we do in the office, they will only envy our good relationship as a couple and be jealous that you have a good husband who loves you. However, Chiao Mian still felt so ashamed. In broad daylight, she and Mo Yesi were in his office. Anyway, you are not allowed to touch me outside anymore, she bit her lip and said angrily, if you do this again, I will never care about you again. Bad guy. Bastard. She knows the bad guy who bullied her. What abstinence is a male god, what is not close to women? It's all nonsense. If he can be called unattractive to women, then all men in this world are unattractive to women. Mo Yesi had just eaten and was extremely satisfied physically and mentally. He was naturally obedient to the little woman in his arms. He agreed to whatever she said. Anyway, he agreed first and comforted her. Whether he can do it or not is another matter. Don't touch her outside in the future? How can this be? Having tasted her, he wanted to touch her all the time. For example now. He wanted to touch her again. As soon as he recalled all the charming ways she had acted under him just now, his blood boiled a little. But he also knew that he could not touch her again today. She was really exhausted. If you want her again, it will really hurt her. Since they have a long way to go, let's let her go for now and let her have a good rest. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 509. Chapter 509, I really didn't expect President Mo to be this kind of person. Chiao Mian. Asterisk. Outside the office. When Wei Zheng received a call from Mo Yesi, asking him to go to the mall immediately to buy a set of clothes for women, the expression on his face was a bit hard to describe. Just now, when he heard several female secretaries whispering about Mr. Mo and the young lady, he thought it was outrageous and ridiculous. Things that are considered impossible. This is not Mr. Mo's style at all. If Master Yan did such a thing, he thought it was normal. After all, Master Yen himself is a person who behaves very absurdly, and he often does even more absurd things than this. But how could their Mr. Mo do that? It's not that Mr. Mo is a very decent person, but based on his understanding of Mr. Mo, this matter is a bit too ridiculous for Mr. Mo. And Mr. Mo's self-control ability is not that bad. So when he heard those female secretaries say this, he scolded them with a straight face. Several female secretaries were so frightened that they shouted Brother Wei Zhang and swore to him that they would never talk nonsense again and that he would never tell Mo Yesi about this matter. Otherwise, they are doomed. He was so angry that of course he never thought of telling Mo Yesi. With Mr. Mo's temper, knowing that these female secretaries were discussing matters between him and the young lady behind his back, he would definitely fire them. Wei Zhen usually has a good relationship with these female secretaries and cannot do such a ruthless thing. But now, after answering Mo Yesi's call, Wei Zhen was shocked. There is a feeling that the worldview has been destroyed. When the young lady entered the CEO's office, her clothes were all in good condition. Mr. Mo asked him to buy a new set of clothes. Moreover, it's better to buy a new set from the inside out. You can imagine what happened to the young lady. I really didn't expect President Mo to be such a person. Wei Zheng thought of Mo Yesi's usual cold, ascetic and restrained appearance, and it was really difficult to associate him with the current boss who indulged himself so much. Do all men let themselves go so freely after marriage? Even Mr. Mo is no exception. Alas, Mr. Mo has changed a lot since he got married. He has now done many things that he would never do before, and would not even bother to do, or even dislike doing. The power of love, is it really so magical? Can people really be willing to change so much? When Wei Zheng went to college, he was a nerd who devoted himself to his studies. In addition to studying every day, he still studied. Learning makes him happy, learning makes him sufficient, and learning makes his life better and more meaningful. He had never thought about falling in love at all. In fact, Wei Zheng also had a suitor during his college years. Even though he is not the center of attention and admiration from the opposite like Mo Yesi since childhood, among ordinary people, he is still a high-quality man with good conditions in all aspects. End of this chapter. I secretly got married to a super boss. Author, Dance Lightly. Chapter 510. Chapter 510. Chapter 510. He is so useless. Walking on the street, he is also a handsome guy who will turn heads. But he never fell in love once in 4 years of college. Until I graduated, then entered the Mo family's job, and now, I have remained single. When he was in school, academics were the most important thing to him. After going to work, work is the most important thing to him. As for falling in love, he has never thought about it, and he is not very interested in it. But now, seeing how his boss had changed so much since he got married and had a wife, Wei Zheng suddenly felt that he also wanted to fall in love. He also wants to try to see how his life after falling in love is different from now. Would it become better? Having lived unchanged for so many years, it seems that I am a little tired of such a monotonous life. Asterisk. After Mo Yesi called Wei Zheng, he went into the lounge to see Chiao Mian. In just a few minutes, the little man lying on the small bed had closed his eyes and fell asleep. Her eyelashes are very long and thick, and their curly curves make her look like a doll. And that little face with delicate and beautiful features also looks like a handmade doll placed in the window, and it looks a bit distorted. Because her skin is very white, the slightest mark will be very obvious, which is a bit shocking. Mo Yesi stood by the bed and looked at it for a while, then secretly cursed himself as a beast in his heart. He is such a nobody. At this moment, T's rationality has returned, so he feels that he is no longer a beast and no longer a thing. Have learned to reflect. Mo Yesi stood by the bed and looked at it for a while, then sat down on the edge of the bed very gently. His big hand gently fell on the girl's crimson and delicate face, and he rubbed her soft cheek with his palm. He lowered his voice and said, "Baby, I'm sorry. The little man on the bed has fallen asleep, so naturally you can't hear what he said." In fact, Chiao Mian later discovered that it would make no difference even if she heard it. Mo Yesi just sat on the edge of the bed, watching Chiao Mian sleep like a maniac. After watching it for a while, he thought that there was still a lot of documents waiting for him to process, so he stood up reluctantly. Just as she was about to leave, she saw her mobile phone on her pillow light up. Mo Yesi has excellent eyesight, and with a casual glance, he clearly saw the WeChat message sent by Zhang Luli. "Ginger candy isn't sweet, baby. A relative of mine came to Yunchinj and gave me a lot of local specialties. Where are you now? When will you go back to school? I made a portion for you, and you take it and let the male stew it and eat it. I heard that this stuff is very nourishing for yin and yang." End of this chapter.